everybody, how are you doing? Tekking and Barry back again. Also, Sanji's here as a cameo, apparently. Always nice to have you on the show, Sanji. How are the wife and kids doing? Fantabulous, absolutely. Actually, I don't even know why you're here. This is clearly going to be Zoro's chapter. I mean, right? I mean, that was set up last time. Oda had Zoro fighting against King, knocking off part of King's mask. I mean, that's how the last chapter ended. So you know what, Sanji? You and I can do, like, commentary to try to, like, figure out Zoro's fighting style and, like, how he's gonna defeat King. That should be a good one. This will be One Piece, chapter 1028 review titled Brachiosaurus. Brachiosaurus, like a snake, because, well, if you haven't read the chapter, you have no context. But if you have read the chapter, it's like, alright, you still probably have no context for how that makes sense. I'm not even sure how it makes sense, and I'm about to review it, but it does make sense, I guess. Okay, another translation. It's a portmanteau of Brachiosaurus and a snake. Like, that's the idea Oda's going for here. So, Brachiosaurus, Snakis is another translation I've heard. Brachiosaurus and snake. Just think of that, okay? The cover page is a double-page spread, you know, color spread. It's a really cool one. It's Nami and Usopp playing a One Piece knockoff of Super Smash Brothers. So it's Nami and Usopp. They're like in gaming chairs. Usopp has this really cool like goggle like setup. You know, it's basically like that's how like video game peripherals were going to be back in the 90s. Okay, like you ever see the movie The Wizard? You know, with like the power glove and everything. That's how we thought like games were going to be in the future. Like we were all going to be hooked up to some crazy virtual reality Matrix thing before the Matrix, and it's just like, you know, it's like, I'm in the game, I'm moving things, I have goggles, you know, which kind of, you know, Oculus, you know, the Vive, you know, that's sort of where it's going. We thought it would have a lot more wires and helmets and stuff, like, hooked up to you, though, which, I don't know, it still might go that way. But, you know, the real star of the show is the game screen. So it's Nami and Usopp playing, and all the other Straw Hats are playing Super Smash Brothers characters. Now, I am not a huge fan of Super Smash Brothers. It's a great game. I've played Melee the most, okay? I've never played any of the other ones, just Melee. So I don't know all these characters here. Zoro is clearly Link from The Legend of Zelda, okay? So that's kind of just funny in the sense of Zoro is like, you know, pretty small with the elf ears. You know, actually, I have... You gotta be prepared at every instant to have, you know, swords and shields at the ready, alright? So I got Enma over here, but I also have the Master Sword and the Master Shield, or the Hylian Shield. I don't know what this is called. Anyway, so yeah, you got Zoro as Link, that's pretty funny. Frankie is Donkey Kong, which, great. Ever played Donkey Kong Country? Now, that was a game. That was a game, right, Barry? Absolutely. Let's see, I think Sanji is Solid Snake from Metal Gear, I guess. I do not know who Brook is supposed to be. I do not know who Chopper's supposed to be. And I don't even know if Oda is, like, directly referencing all of them as Smash Brother characters. Because Chopper is, like, wearing, like, a hat that makes him look like he's wearing, like, a hippo hat. And I'm like, is there a hippo in Super Smash Brothers? I don't even know. Robin is a sexy demon lady. And that's not even just in Super Smash Brothers, the parody. That's just, she is a sexy demon lady. I think Luffy is Ken from Street Fighter. I think, but the person that takes the cake is Jinbei, dressed as Mario. So he's wearing the overalls and the cap, except he has a giant J instead of an M. Jinbei is Mario, or actually, that actually makes a lot of sense, because Mario first appeared in the original Donkey Kong game, and he was not Mario, he was Jumpman. So the fact that Jinbei is wearing a giant J, because it's Jinbei, but also Mario was originally Jumpman, that actually makes sense, but it's just hilarious to picture, like, just picture playing Super Mario World. That was my favorite game growing up. But instead of Mario, it's Jinbei running around, you know, getting the feather and flying through the sky. It's just hilarious. Okay, well, anyway, let's get into the chapter. But that was, you know, 10 out of 10 cover page spread, Oda. You did an amazing job with that one. Okay, everybody, so the chapter kicks off in the indestructible reception room, where the indestructible couch and catering platter filled with delicious cookies and lemon bars are sitting off to the side. There's also some coffee, but they're out of tea! alright, where the CP0 is hanging out. It has suffered no battle damage throughout this entire war. It really is the indestructible reception room of the gods, okay? Say whatever you want about Kaido, but he takes his guests' security and safety very, very seriously. And there's still a member, I don't know if it's Bao Huang or somebody else, but there's, you know, a Mary there with the tag on her face, you know, still playing the shamisen. Like, I don't even know, like, at this point, like, there's so much yelling and screaming, and there's dragons fighting on the roof. Like, I don't even know if you can hear it. Maybe it's soundproofed as well. It's just like this little room. It doesn't matter what's going on outside. The entire castle, all of Onigashima can burn down, but this one room is like, it's like a panic room. It'll be okay. So, CP0, the leader of it, this dude, you know, I'm assuming he's the leader of CP0. We don't know his name. He might not actually be the leader of the entire organization, but we've seen him pop up quite a bit at Dressrosa, and now here now at Wano. So I'm just going to say he's the boss, and he's actually on a Denden Mushi call with another member of CP0. Now, we don't find out who it is until a few pages from now, but I'm just going to tell you now, because it really doesn't, I mean, it's not a shocking moment or anything like that. He's talking to Rob Lucci, all right? Rob Lucci, one of the only other members of CP0 we actually know, okay? So, what apparently happened is that Rob Lucci was the one that called the boss of CP0 that's hanging out in the reception room at Wano, okay? And so, the boss is just relaying the information to Rob Lucci on what just happened with Momonosuke turning into the giant dragon. They don't know it's Momonosuke. They just know a giant dragon that was a peach dragon stormed through the hall. And so he's bringing Rob Lucci up to that on that speed. And so Rob Lucci is just like, another giant dragon? He's like, yeah. Wait, do you think I'm lying? I'm like, no, I didn't say you were lying. I'm just saying, like, you might have, you know, maybe not seen it correctly. It's like, no, dude, it was a giant dragon that just burst through the hallway. It's like, okay, yeah, all right, whatever you say, man. It's like Rob Lucci doesn't believe him at first. It's like, hey, boss, we have an order we have orders from up above. And he's just like, dude, Rob Lucci, giant dragon just flew right through the festival hall. Yeah, that's Kaido. No, it was a different dragon. Like, all right, you expect me to believe there's two dragons in the same location? That's just ridiculous. It's like, no, seriously. And so the boss explains to Rob Lucci, and he's like, hey, dude, listen. Hey, dude, listen. Yeah, because that's how CP0 do formal reports with each other. Rob Lucci, dude, this totally, like, radical thing just happened. All right? This giant dragon burst in. That's got to be the artificial dragon fruit that Vegapunk created and left on Punk Hazard. It has to be the person that consumed it and had the power of a dragon. Isn't that crazy? And Rob Lucci is like, oh, really? Okay, yeah, that's nuts. But hey, we got orders from up above, so indicating the Gorosei, probably, because remember, the CP0 exists to protect the Tenryubito. The Gorosei are the highest-ranking members of the Tenryubito, so it was probably an order from the Gorosei directly, or even possibly an order from Eam, and then Eam relayed the information to the Gorosei, because I don't even know if CP0 is aware of Eam's existence, okay, because they really have to keep that under wraps, okay? Just the Gorosei and, like, a few of Eam's personal servants, and that might very well just be it, okay? Well, at any rate, Rob Lucci's relaying these two orders that he got from up above, okay? The first order is that if Kaido were to lose, which, you know, even they're sort of like, you know, even though the battle is sort of swaying in the rebellion side, you know, Kaido losing, I can't really see that happening. But the world government has issued a decree that if Kaido were to lose, Wano is immediately to be taken under world government jurisdiction. And we zoom out outside of Wano, approaching the waterfall, because remember, Wano is like above sea level on like a giant like plateau or like mesa sort of situation, like a giant mountain in the middle of the ocean, and Wano's on top of it. And so we see a bunch of government ships approaching the island, like surrounding all of Wano. And he's just like, look, yeah, this is Rob Lucci talking. He's like, yeah, you know, Wano has never been under the jurisdiction of the world government. They've never allied with us. But if Kaido were to lose, we're just going to take it by storm. We're going to take it by force. We're going to dock at the island, and we're going to take the place over. And this is reminiscent exactly of real-world historical events during the arrival of the black ships at the end of the Edo period in Japan, leading into the Bakumatsu period, and then eventually the Meiji era. You know, everything with that, with America, you know, arriving and basically opening up the doors of Japan forcefully in order to open up them to trade in the rest of the world. Okay, I did a whole video on that last year, so go check that out, and go check out the story of, like, Commodore Perry and everything, and how that whole situation went down. And since Oda is doing a lot of parallels with, you know, Edo period Japan and Wano, I figured that would probably be the best way to end it, with, you know, the black ships arriving in the harbor of the Marines or the world world government in this case and, like, opening up Wano to the world forcefully, okay? So, yeah, that's probably what's going to happen there if Kaido loses. Now, they don't really say what'll happen if Kaido wins, but Rob Lucci asks for an update on the battle. Like, you know, how do you think this is going to go? Because you're there watching it. So we see the Go board again. Currently, the Go board, remember we started at 30,000 on Kaido and Orochi's side to 5,400 on the Rebellion side. We now have approximately 12,000 on Kaido's side and 8,000 on the Rebellion side. So a 12 to 8 on the Go board, okay? So the Rebellion is still, like, they're not as, it's not evened out yet. Kaido still has more men working for him, but it's narrowing. The gap is narrowing, but even with that, the boss of CP0 at Wano, he's just like, you know, even if it looks like, even if the numbers even out, I really can't just picture Kaido losing. You know, it's just like he's Kaido. He's the Wisdom King. He's the king of the beasts. He's the pirate that has the highest active bounty right now. Like, he's a monster. He's a dragon god. You know, like, even if there was more members of the rebellion and the sides got switched, Kaido might still win. And so Rob Lucci is just like, yeah, I can't really see that happening either, but thanks for the update. Now, the other thing that the world government from up above ordered us to do is open up Wano, and the other thing was capture Nico Robin by any means necessary, alright? Now this, not great for Robin, but this makes a boatload of sense. Like, quite literally a boatload, because they're pirates. Okay, but yeah, the whole reason, like, back at Enies Lobby, the world government went to such extreme measures in order to bring Robin over to Enies Lobby and, you know, like, to convict her and then send her off to Marineford or Impel Down or wherever they were going to send her. Of course, the Straw Hats, you know, they stood together, they banded together, and they got Robin back, but the world government is not just going to give up on that, right? They're not just going to be like, well, we tried to bring Robin in, but the Straw Hats fought back, and, you know, all of Enies Lobby got leveled, and most of CP9 was wiped out. And remember, CP9, after the events of Enies Lobby, they kind of went rogue for a little while. They kind of went off on their own. So maybe the world government was like, all right, we lost, like, one of our strongest cipher pool agencies, and in addition to that, Enies Lobby got, you know, bombed out into oblivion. So we have other stuff to worry about. Plus, it was just one big thing after another, and then, you know, Ace gets captured by Blackbeard, and then he's going to be executed, and then Whitebeard's going to invade Marineford, and then Luffy leads a mass breakout at Impel Down. Like, it makes sense why they wouldn't be able to go after Robin immediately after Enies Lobby. The government kind of had a lot on their plate at that point, but it's been 2 years now. You know, the former members of CP9 are now working for CP0. We still don't know the whole story behind that. You know, and, you know, Whitebeard's been taken care of. Yeah, there's still a lot of problems in the world, but this situation right now with Big Mom and Kaido teaming up, they know Robin is right there. They know the Straw Hats are in Wano. Robin's a part of them, and, you know, Rob Lucci refers to her as the key of the key for the pirates' goals in this chapter, because they know Big Mom and Kaido are going to be looking for the One Piece. Well, how do you get the One Piece? You got to get the 4 road poneglyphs. Who can read poneglyphs? You know, one of the very few people in the entire world that can decipher and read poneglyphs, as a matter of fact. So they're like, yeah, we're going to capture Nico Robin. This is still important. We're not just going to give her up, you know, because we tried once and we failed, okay? Because she slipped through our grasp the first time, you know? And unless something is dealt with involving the world government and the Tenryubito system and the Cypher Pool, they're going to be looking for Robin for the rest of her life. Now, I like to think that Dragon will eventually lead the revolution, and he'll take out the Tenryubito system and rearrange everything so Robin won't have to worry about that anymore. But, you know, this is not a kind of problem that can just be solved by, like, punching Rob Lucci in the face again, or punching the boss of CP0 in the face. Like, as long as the world government exists in its current entity, they're always going to be looking for Robin, because she has the knowledge in order to read poneglyphs, and that's the most, like, valuable thing for pirates seeking the One Piece, seeking Laugh-Tale Island, okay? So just keep that in mind there. We see Hotori there, we see Kaku in the background. He's just snoozing. Kaku's in the background just like, we don't actually know. Rob Lucci and the others, like, we see Stussy as well. Rob Lucci, Stussy, and Kaku might not be on their way to Wano themselves. They were just relaying the information, because they look like they're in an office somewhere. They look like they're maybe still at Reverie, or not Reverie, Reverie's over, but still at Marijois, maybe in Castle Pangea in, like, a reception room. I imagine that's where the home base of CP0 would be. In order to protect the Celestial Dragons, it would be in Marijois. So they might still be there, just relaying the information, like Rob Lucci just heard it from the Gorosei, and now he's just relaying this to the boss at CP0 at Wano or whatever, okay? So that's the scene with them. It's setting up a lot of stuff for the end game of the arc. Like, even if Kaido loses, so Luffy, like, beats him down and, like, okay, we win, there's still a whole armada of ships surrounding the island. How are we going to deal with that crap, all right? So I guess we'll worry about that when we worry about it. Now we cut back over to the festival hall where we see Robin is back up in action again. She's no longer unconscious after using her devil form, so there doesn't seem to be any sort of, like, long-term ramifications of that. It just seems to exhaust her quite a bit. So she gets tired and she might lose consciousness for a little while to rest, but she's up and she's running around, and Brook and her, well, mostly Brook, is, like, charging through the enemies and just cutting them all down, like, yo! And, you know, Robin's like, oh, wow, Brook, you're so dependable. And Brook's like, oh, thank you. I might get carried away, though, so maybe, because all the praise is maybe going to Brook's head a little bit. Also, he might do the panty thing again as well. He's like, oh, okay, but, you know, ease off on the praise a little bit, Robin, but yes, I am a pretty awesome skeleton. Yo! So he's cutting everybody down there. Robin seems to be okay. Now we cut outside of the festival hall. We see Onigashima, Muffin Mountain. We only have 5 minutes remaining until it is over the flower capital. So, you know, we don't have a lot of time left. So the situation here has changed once again. We went from Yamato fighting Kaido to Yamato, I'm thinking, helping Momonosuke, and she's still doing that, but Yamato had to leave Momonosuke to handle the flame clouds thing himself, okay? So Momo is there, and he's in a giant dragon form, and he's trying to create, like, flame clouds large enough to cover the entire island, but he is not doing a great job. He just doesn't know how to do it, right? And so he's sitting there, and he's like, he can make clouds that are big enough for his claws to, like, grab onto so he can stay hovering in the air, but it's a giant island. It's like miles around in circumference, okay? I have no idea what the distance is, but he has to make huge flame clouds, and so he's just like, come forth, flame clouds! Poof. Poof. How do I do this? Actually, Momonosuke starts to, like, argue with himself, and I'm kind of picturing it like his adult self is arguing with his child self, where his child self is like, I can't do this! Oh my god, I'm so scared! Yamato, why did you leave me? And then, like, adult Momonosuke is just like, you know, quiet down! I could do this! I'm Momonosuke! I'm the son of Odin! Flame Cloud! Kamehameha! Go! Poof. You know, he's not really doing anything, but he's just like, I need to figure this out. I only have 5 minutes. So really putting the pressure on Momonosuke. He'll probably come up with something. I mean, he'll probably come up with some kind of trick. I also thought of this idea. I don't know if this has any, you know, possibility, but I'm just going to throw it out there. Could Momonosuke maybe not develop his own flame clouds, but could he take control of Kaido's? I only bring this up because Kaido and Momo share a devil fruit. It's a direct copy. That was what Vegapunk did. He took DNA from Kaido and made a devil fruit. So, technically speaking, the flame clouds that are lifting up Onigashima are coming from the same devil fruit as Kaido and Momonosuke. It's from the same origin point, so maybe Momonosuke won't create his own clouds to wrap around the whole island. Maybe he'll just, you know, learn how to communicate or, like, control the ones that Kaido already made, and then take Onigashima and push it somewhere else. Patrick Star, the leading genius of our time, alright? So, it'll be okay. I think Momonosuke will get this, but I don't know, it's pretty risky. Now, what happened to Yamato? Where Yamato is actually scaling the side of Onigashima. So she leapt off of Momonosuke, grabbed onto the side of the island in her hybrid Makami form, and began to scale Onigashima to get back to the top of it. And the reason she did that was to try to disarm Onigashima, is the best way I can say this, because, you know, she brought up, like, okay, there's all these bombs and gunpowder and explosives on Onigashima. If the island falls, yeah, that'll be bad enough, but also the explosion will make it, like, dozens of times worse. So I'm going to scale Onigashima, get back up to the castle. I know exactly where the armory is. I know where all the gunpowder and all the weapons are kept. So if I can get back in there and I can... She doesn't actually explain what she's going to do. I have no idea. Like, how are you going to disarm Onigashima? It's not like an actual bomb, like in a 90s action movie, where, like, Yamato breaks into the room and there's this bomb there with a bunch of wires coming out with a countdown, like, beep, beep, beep. You know, she has to take out a pair of pliers and put on, like, glasses and just be like, it's like, shh, okay, what do I do? What do I do? You cut the green wire. They're all green wires. What do I do? You know, it's not like that. It's like literally just a giant armory filled with gunpowder and explosives. So I'm like, all right, how could you, like, I guess you could pick up the explosives and, like, chuck them off the island, you know? But you're just tossing explosives off of Onigashima. And the way that Yamato talks about this is this, like, you know, this isn't just, like, a couple of barrels or whatever. This is hardcore explosive stuff. This could be, like, the equivalent of, like, TNT in our world, okay? So I wanted to just, because I've said this before, I feel like the act of just the island itself crashing down in Wano would cause way more damage than any explosives that would go off in the process. This is a giant island that is just falling out of the sky, like the shock waves, the earthquake that would deal would be immense. But Yamato's like, no, it could be even worse, like dozens of times worse. So the way Yamato is saying it, it's like the explosion would be equivalent to like a nuke dropping or something. So I'm like, okay, let's look this up, okay? So I looked up the bomb Little Boy, the bomb that was dropped on Hiroshima back during World War II, okay? That bomb was actually, like, you know, not that strong compared to other nuclear weapons that have come out since then. And the Little Boy bomb had a 15 kiloton, you know, yield, okay? So that's 15 kilotons of TNT. And that's about, you know, 15 kilotons, that's 15,000 tons in metric, and about 33 million pounds of TNT. And that was, you know, like I said, one of the more, like, lower yield nuclear bombs that have ever been detonated, okay? So I'm like, all right, is that gonna be something like that? Does Kaido have, like, 33 million pounds of, or the equivalent of, like, TNT on Onigashima? I can buy that, and if that was the concern, I could see why Yamato would be like, no, we need to do something about that. She's scaling the island. She believes in Momonosuke. She's like, you know what? I know you can do this, Momonosuke. She reaches the top. She transforms into her full Makami form, so the full mythical wolf of, like, Japanese lore, like the protector deity, and begins to run toward the armory. Some of the members of the Heart Pirates are hanging out right at the edge, you know, like right when she appeared, and they have no idea who Yamato is, so they just see this, because remember, Yamato is, like, tall, and then transforms into a wolf that's even bigger, so this, like, giant wolf, like a dire wolf from Game of Thrones, just kind of runs, like, right past them, and they're just like, whoa, what's going on? A giant wolf! You know, we're fighting against dragons, and now a brachiosaur and a pteranodon, and now a giant wolf. This place is crazy, right? So Yamato's going to look for the armory, but I have no idea, you know, what she's going to do. Okay, so now we cut to the festival stage, you know, the Golden Kagura Hall, where we see the main focus of this chapter and the namesake of, you know, Brachiosaurus. Yeah. Okay. So we see Sanji fighting against Queen, already in progress. You know, Sanji's using his kicks to knock back Queen. Queen is using an attack called the Frying Pan, or, you know, so it's like, no, what was it called? The Flying Pan, which I think the reference is the Frying Pan, you know, because all of Queen's attacks, like most characters in the story, are, you know, puns in some sense. So it's basically just a rapid volley of punches. It's like Queen's Brachiosaur hybrid equivalent of Gumu Gumu no Gatling, basically, and he's a cyborg as well, so he's punching Sanji. Sanji's kind of like taking the hits and he's kicking him back and everything. Sanji uses a technique, we've seen this before, the grill shot, where he kicks, he used this against the Kraken, he kicks Queen right in the stomach and makes like the grill pattern there. Doesn't really seem to bring him down all too much. The entire time this is going on, Queen is just begging Sanji, you know, use the raid suit, use that battle suit that you use, that Power Ranger Kamen Rider Super Sentai thing you used against King. It can make you disappear. That was with the technology of Judge, right? You know, show me that. It almost sounds like Queen sort of is like, wants to challenge Judge's, like, technology. So maybe back in the day when Queen and Judge were working under Vegapunk, they were like rivals in the same way that Sanji and Zoro are kind of rivals. So it was like the sense of, like, you know, Queen's making his technology over here, and his is mostly focused on, like, virus technology, and then Judge is making the cloning tech, and he's like, no, Queen, cloning technology is the way to go. No, you're you an idiot, Judge? It's virus technology. That's where it goes. And so they're, like, constantly competing against one another. So it's like Queen is like, you know, show me the fruits of Judge's tech so I can use my tech as a giant cyborg brachiosaur to show him what's what, that my technology was better. That seems to be the implication here. It's not so much about Queen defeating Sanji, it's about Queen defeating a Vinsmoke. That's, I think, where the premise here is. Now, Sanji's getting hit by these attacks. He's getting knocked down and everything like that, and he has wounds, but he's just, like, not really injured. He just keeps getting back up, and he's just like, yeah, something's up with my body. Something definitely doesn't feel right. Like, he'll get, like, punched by Queen, get knocked back, and he'll just get up, and he'll be like, doesn't really hurt. Yeah, something's definitely going on here. This is weird. Maybe I slept on the wrong side of the bed last night? I don't know. So anyway, Sanji gets back up. He refuses to go into the battle suit. He's just like, hey, I'm not a Vinsmoke. Don't call me a Vinsmoke. That's a family issue. Actually, you know what? They're not even my family, so shut up. Queen fires the black coffee beam, you know, the laser beam that he has with his tail. Fires that at Sanji. That's when Sanji uses the grill shot to counter that. They all get knocked back. Queen decides at this point, you know what? Screw it. I'm not even going to use my cyborg enhancements on you anymore. I'm just gonna crush you with the sheer brute force of a dinosaur that has ruled the earth for hundreds of millions of years. And so he transforms into his full brachiosaur form, you know, towering over Sanji, right? I think brachiosaurs, I think the tallest ones were like 27 to 37 meters tall, like pretty damn big, right? And so Sanji's on the ground and he's just like, wow, man, these ancient zones are really tough, man, you know? So even Sanji, somebody that's pretty strong and he's got access to armament hockey, he's even admitting it's really hard to like hurt a dinosaur's flesh. Plus it's also been, you know, Queen knows armament as well, and it's also been augmented with the cyborg tech. So this is really, really hard. Like Queen's greatest asset, I mean, he can fire lasers and he's strong, but I would say defense is definitely his forte, 100%, okay? So anyway, yeah, he's like, I will now crush you with the raw power of the dinosaurs, these mighty behemoths that ruled the earth for 100 million years. And it's setting it up like he's not going to use any more lasers, he's not going to use any more underhanded tactics with robotics, he's just going to like step on Sanji or something, right? And so, I gotta throw up an image here, okay? So, this is a Brachiosaurus, alright? Queen levels out his neck and his tail so it's going straight, kinda like this, okay? And it's like, okay, what's gonna happen? Is he gonna like charge at the Sanji, like ram him or something? No. In the next panel, Queen, you know, flaps his tail a few times, and then, pop! His neck and his tail just separate from his body, which is still stationary right in the middle of the hall, fires off at Sanji like he's a damn action figure. You know what? We all make the joke that Frankie invented a Megazord, you know, with the Iron Pirate Frankie Shogun, which he did, but Queen is a Megazord. Like, this is 100% how, like, Power Rangers went back in the day, right? It's just like, you know, switch it to Megazord battle mode. That's my greatest Austin St. John. Do, you know, like, the head of the Tyrannosaurus comes out, and then, like, the Triceratops, like, angles up, like, different pieces are flying off and all merging together. Queen is a damn Megazord. Like, he is one, alright? So, everybody in the festival hall is like, whoa, I'm about to be awed by this is gonna be some Jurassic Park shit. What the hell? And they're like, what? Chopper's like, what? The Yakuza are like, what? My favorite reactions are Marco's and Izo's. Kawamatsu's there too, but Kawamatsu, he's lived in Wano his whole life. This, you know, he's on the same wavelength as the Yakuza here. But Izo and Marco, you gotta think about this, okay? These two traveled with Whitebeard, one of the flipping Yonko, for years, decades. Marco has been on Whitebeard's crew since he was like 15 years old. Marco's in his late 40s now, okay? So you know he's seen some shit. They both have. They've seen some really wackadoodle devil fruit abilities. They've seen some crazy weapons, crazy beasts on random islands that they visited. They've been around the world multiple times. They've seen some stuff. They are shocked and jaw-dropped from this. They are like, what? You know, Marco's eyes are bulging out of his head, like, what? So, you know, when Marco and Izo are surprised by this kind of stuff, this is like maybe one of, if not the weirdest thing in the One Piece world. Like, Marco is like, man, I traveled with Pops my entire life. I've seen people transform into all different kinds of animals. I've seen pretty much every zone you can imagine. I'm a mythical zone myself. I mean, look at me. I can transform into a damn phoenix. We've been to crazy islands. I've seen giants. I've seen, like, you know, long arm, long leg, fishmen, merfolk, minks. I've seen everything, man. But freaking not a Tyrannosaurus, freaking Brachiosaurus separating his neck from his body, firing out like a damn action figure. I don't even know. I don't even know what life is anymore. You know, like, Marco is having, like, he's gonna have an existential crisis after this. But anyway, Sanji, even Sanji, like, okay, imagine this. You're fighting a giant brachiosaur. Already, that's weird enough. Sanji's, like, prepared for that. He's like, all right, I guess I'm fighting a giant dinosaur today. Chick, boom, it just fires at him. It's like, oh, what? And so Sanji has like a face fault moment, which distracts him long enough for Queen in just the neck. Just the neck fires off like a missile and then wraps around Sanji, and just the neck begins to crush him, like the wrap attack from Pokemon, you know? Or bind, to be more annoying, but whatever. Anyway, which one's the more annoying one? Which one was bugged in Gen 1? Was it bind, constrict, or wrap? There was one that just never ended. It was like bugged in Gen 1. Anyway, so he just begins to crush Sanji, and Sanji's like, oh man, so that's like honestly the perfect attack, because you will never see that coming. I don't care if you have Katakuri's future sight. You are not gonna picture that coming, and even if you can, you would still be shocked by it. You'd be spent like staring at it for 10 seconds before your brain could process what the hell just happened, right? So anyway, he begins to crush Sanji, and he's like, you know, even the greatest users of armament hockey in the world have been crushed and their organs ruptured by my Mighty-O Brachiosaurus attacks. It's a Brachio snake or a Brachio constrictor attack or whatever. So, and Sanji, remember, Sanji knows armament, but that's not his expertise. Zoro's expertise is armament, Sanji's is observation, and he's even saying, like, even masters of armament have felled to this attack. Like, the pressure is just insane. It's higher than, like, at the bottom of the ocean. It's more intense than anything. Like, it's just pure cyborg muscle and dinosaur raw strength crushing the hell out of Sanji. Meanwhile, you still have the body of the Brachiosaurus back there, and so he's just like, normally, I love the way Queen says this. After separating his neck from his body, he's like, see my body back there? Normally, that would be as useless as legs on a snake. Implying that, like, you know, under normal circumstances, when a brachiosaur were to separate his neck from the body would just sit around, you know, being useless, not being able to do anything. As if, like, if a brachiosaur separating his neck from his body is like a normal thing in nature. Like, yeah, they can do that in nature, but the body doesn't do anything. But I've modified it with brachio launchers. And every time I say the word brachio launchers, they hone in and lock on and they fire the missiles. And then because he said brachio launchers, the brachio launchers are like, locking on, and they fired and they hit Queen. They hit Queen in the back as he's constricting Sanji. And then he's just like, you stupid body, I said brachio launchers to explain the attack. It wasn't the exact, you know, lock on, and they fired him again. And he just lets go of Sanji finally. The blast, like, you know, let him go. So I have a question, a couple of questions actually. I guess Queen just likes to show off his hardware, the stuff that he's built. Did he even need to explain the brachio launcher thing there? He seemed like he had Sanji being crushed, like he already was done, right? And what was the point of firing the brachio launcher anyway? Because Queen was, you know, constricting Sanji. The missiles were going to hit him because he's behind cover, you know, like, you know what I mean? But the better question is, how do the brachio launcher's voice command work? Because it seemed to imply that whenever he says brachio launchers, the missiles lock on to wherever Queen is and then fire in his direction. So how useful would that be? It's just like, brachio launchers, I say the name, and then they lock on to wherever I said the name and they fire in that direction. I mean, I guess you could use it somewhere, but I think Queen was just overthinking this a little bit. So anyway, Queen's grip gets loosened, his neck, body, head just falls down, and Sanji lands, and he's like, whatever, it doesn't matter, his bones are all crushed anyway. Sanji hits the ground, his entire body is like bent at like 45. He's like an accordion, basically. You know how like in cartoons, like when Wile E. Coyote falls off the cliff, he gets up, he's like, and he like walks away. Like that's basically Sanji here. One of his legs is like bent at like, you know, it's like just a zigzag pattern. His entire torso is like here, and one of his arms I think is broken, and he's just walking like a zombie, and even Chopper is just like, are you a zombie, Sanji? Oh no. And Sanji, he's walking and he's just like, yeah, it really hurts, but I could still walk just fine. And he's like, okay, hold on a second. And he just like tenses his muscles, and his leg and his body just crack back into place like he's fine. And he's like, what? And he's not an idiot. Sanji realizes right away, he's like, wait a second. This is like that time, you know, I like, remember back during Totland, he kicked Yonji in the face, and Yonji's face did the same thing, because their exoskeletons are basically like steel or like metal, or I think it's still skin, but it's like the consistency of metal. And so, in order to like fix his face, Yonji had to take like a mallet and like, you know, like literally hammer out the dents in his face in order to like fix his jaw, because Sanji kicked him so hard. Sanji also remembers the time that he was a little kid and he tried to punch Ichiji in the face, and it's just like Ichiji didn't even feel anything, right? And he just like smacked Sanji to the ground, right? And so Sanji's like, wait a second, I know what this is. Is this like a latent power that's awakening in me? Oh man, I can't. No, I don't want to be like them. I don't want to be a monster like my brothers, you know? And so the last scene of the chapter is Queen back in his hybrid form. He has re-merged with his body, so I guess he can, like, I guess that the neck can, like, float, and just, like, after he got knocked down, he's just, like a docking, there you go. And so he's back in his hybrid form. He takes out his cutlass thing. I think it's more of a Chinese sword, actually. I forget the name of it, but it's like a Chinese, like, curved sword he has. And he takes that Dao sword, I think? Maybe. That was a Dao? I'm not sure. Well, anyway, he takes out his sword, and he appears behind Sanji. So Sanji's in the middle of a crisis of self. He's like, what even am I? And then Queen shows up. He's like, you're dead! That's what you are! He takes out his Dao, goes to slice Sanji right in the side of the head or the neck. It hits his cheek, and it just explodes. Not his cheek, the sword. The sword just shatters apart. And this is Queen, you know, one of the all-stars. You know he's not using a cheap sword. You know, this sword is probably, you know, and he's in Wano, too. You know this sword was probably forged, you know, pretty handily by a swordsmith on the island, and it just gets shattered apart, and Sanji's cheek is just, like, not even really scuffed at all. He just kind of gets, like, ugh. Oh, whatever. And so that's the end of the chapter, and you know Sanji's like, I don't want to be a monster, and Queen is just like, you know, who the hell are you? What are you? What is this? End of chapter. Okay, so as we all kind of should have guessed at this point, with Sanji dropping the hints in the last few battles, you know, like, my body feels weird. It's not like weak, it's just weird, you know, and he's obviously being able to tank the hits, and his body's like the consistency of like metal, so he can, like, you know, like just like bend it back into shape, like hammering the dents out of a car or whatever. Yeah, Sanji is awakening to the powers of his Germa. Remember, I made a video on this, Sanji being a cyborg, a couple weeks ago, and in that video I went back and rewatched the episode, and I, you know, learned that Sanji apparently initially when he was born did have his bloodline traits altered. The thing that was surprising was Judge learned that his bloodline traits have somehow went back to normal. Okay, so it wasn't like he was born as a normal human. He was born, and I guess there were like initial tests that were done for him and all of his brothers, and they all turned out like the same. Like Ichiji, Niji, Sanji, and Yonji all have their bloodline traits, their DNA altered the same. And then when Sanji was like 5 or 6, they went back to normal, like a normal human, and that was the thing that's like, what? How does that work? So maybe it was a little bit more unstable because of the drugs that Sola took, and, you know, Sanji retained his normal personality and stuff. So I think it's going to end up like Sanji receiving the best of both worlds now. That's going to be his upgrade. Not just the raid suit. The raid suit probably helped him awaken it, you know, because there were also probably modifications done to that. That was like the impetus. That was the trigger for it. But also his body's going to awaken the enhancements that the Vinsmokes had, but also he'll be able to keep his own personality. Like all of the emotions and stuff were taken away from his siblings. He'll still have that, the same as Reiju. And Sanji, you know, he's going to have a crisis of self here. He kind of already is, where he's like, I don't want to be a monster because he hates his family. But this is an option to the whole, like, the nature versus nurture kind of argument, and it's just like, you know, you are not the person you are just because your dad or your brothers are monsters, Sanji. You know, you are the person you want to be. So use these abilities in a way that your brothers never would. Like Ichiji and Niji and Yonji, they don't really care about one another as brothers because they just don't have the capacity for it. They view each other as comrades in battle. And the way they view Judge is basically their boss, because Judge implemented that modification into them, so they have to do whatever Judge says, you know, and so that's not really like a father-son kind of relationship. That's just like, you know, they're being controlled. Sanji doesn't have those restrictions, so it could be just like, you know, Sanji, use these newfound powers to protect your friends, because you're now kind of like this indestructible shield. So I could even see a moment, and maybe not in this arc, but like in a next arc, where, like, let's say a giant, or like let's say they go to Elbaf, and there's like a giant that's like, you know, bad or whatever, and he takes out a giant axe or something. He goes to swing it at Robin or or Nami. And then Sanji's like, no! And he like jumps in front of this giant swinging an axe, and Sanji gets hit and knocked into a wall, and he's like, he comes out like at a 45-degree angle, and Nami and Robin are like, oh my god, you're okay? He's like, no, are you okay, Robin and Nami? Are you okay? He's like, yeah, we're fine. You're the one that got hit by a giant axe. He's like, oh no, I'm fine. Crack! You know, just like, it's moved his body. Like, there could be some funny moments with this. This could be some funny shit coming down the pipeline, to be fair. But yeah, that's the end of the chapter. Sanji is genetically modified, just the same. He's an artificial human, a modified human, the same as his brothers, but he gets to keep his personality. And, you know, Reiju has her own personality. Not personality, I shouldn't say. It's they have their own personalities. It's this that Ichiji, Niji, and Yonji have their emotions suppressed. So emotions like empathy, or like guilt, remorse, those kind of things are like genetically removed from them or suppressed. Reiju has those emotions. She's capable of empathy, but she still has to do whatever Judge orders her to do. So Sanji has all of that, and he doesn't have to listen to Judge, and he has all the really cool physical enhancements. So I think this is a win-win for Sanji, personally. But anyway, yeah, that's the end of the chapter. So what's going to happen with Momonosuke? Is Momo going to create the flame clouds enough to actually suspend the island or manipulate Kaido's in some way? How's that going to go? If he does learn how to make his own flame clouds, like, what'll be the impetus for that? Like, how's he going to learn about it? Maybe he might remember something Yamato told him, or remember how Kaido created them and try to, like, retrace his steps. How is Yamato going to prevent all of the explosions from going off? Like, is she just going to throw them off the island, or somehow figure out some way to disengage them? I don't know how that would work, if it's just, like, piles of TNT or gunpowder or whatever. And then we have the situation from, what was at the beginning of this chapter? Oh, the CP0, yeah. So then we have the whole situation with the CP0. Don't worry about that for right now, because I think that's really just Oda establishing stuff for the arc ending, which, you know, if he's establishing it now, that might mean, like, okay, guys, like, we're getting pretty close to it. Like, don't worry about it right now, but I have to set up this thing with, you know, all of Wano is surrounded by government ships right now. So the second Kaido and Big Mom fall, the Straw Hats aren't going to have time to really celebrate, because this is going to be a new issue. So we're going to talk about that later. But anyway, yeah, that was the chapter review. I hope you guys all enjoyed. And now on a little bit more of a, I mean, it's a somber note, but it's a good note. For those of you that don't know, I mentioned this in the fan mail stream and the live stream I just did a couple days ago, just yesterday. But I am going to be moving. That's right. I finally got a damn house. It took like 1.5 years of looking, and I never want to go through that again, but I found a house, okay? So, next week, when I'm moving, thankfully, there's no One Piece chapter. I mean, I know not thankfully, because it's like, hey, just shut up, Matt, we love One Piece. I'm like, I know, but it just makes everything so much easier for me that I'm not going to have to be worried. Like, I don't have to, like, worry about, like, setting everything up and having ready to go on Sunday next week for the next review, because I'll be in the middle of moving and everything like that. So that helped me out immensely, just the perfect timing there. I didn't plan that. It's just the closing date and everything just lined up in that sense. So when it comes to the studio, I mean, like, I'll be honest with you, I spent, like, when I was setting up today for this video, I probably spent like a good 5 minutes in this room just kind of like looking around. It's like, man, this is the last one. This is the last chapter review of any Shonen Jump series I'm gonna talk about in this room. And it's crazy because I started doing this in 2011, so it's been over 10 years now. I started in June of 2011 when I reviewed Bleach, and I actually reviewed Bleach, Naruto, and One Piece back in the day. I did all three, and then I started college and I had to just reduce that down to Bleach alone. But I talked about Bleach for 5 years, and then in 2016 Bleach ended, and then the following year, 2017, the first, you know, week of the year when the chapters were out, I started talking about One Piece. So it'll be 5 years talking about One Piece just pretty soon in January of 2022. That'll be 5 years for that. So it's insane. I've been talking about Bleach for 5. That seemed like forever, and now One Piece is about to cross the same threshold there. And we of course still have more One Piece left and everything. But yeah, I'm just sitting in this room and I'm just like, you know what? This room has a lot of faults. For one thing, there is no space for those of you. Actually, you know what? Let's back off a bit here, okay? Let me show you this room. All right, let's for like the finality's sake, let me show you, okay? So this is my setup. Hold on, let me just get my camera kind of like turned around. All right, so this is my setup where I film. You know, it's right now extremely packed because I'm moving, of course, and so there's boxes and Yoru just fell down. See, that's one of the problems in this room. Shit falls down anywhere you move. I've almost knocked these lights over. I actually did knock this light over once, and it fell, and it hit this little grate over here, and the bulb actually shattered. And so thankfully, when I bought these, they came with an extra bulb. But yeah, the bulb just shattered, and there's still little bits of glass still like on the floor over here. Over here, I have all my swords, you know, the Hylian shield. These are the swords that constantly fall down every single time. This is a green screen I used to use. I haven't used that in forever. I have like a sheet here just so the light, because the light would bounce off the green screen and then I'd be bathed in like green light. Here's the little area you know about. Here's a bunch of books. See, I don't even have room to really, like this is how packed everything is in here. This is how packed everything is. Like that, yeah. So, this is Mogura. You know, this is all my, you know, big weapons that I have, like my Whitebeard's Murakumo Giri. This is just like a buster sword I have. I had to, you know, cover the windows up with curtains. Over here, you know, that's actually the front door to our house. This is like a sunroom kind of area. It's more or less just like a closet, like a walk-in closet I've been filming in for a decade. There's no insulation in here. I've brought that up plenty of times, but it's kind of uncomfortable. Right now it's okay because it's autumn, but like, you know, in the summer it's very brutal. In the winter I have a little heater back here. This is this is Barry's, I don't know if this is Barry's wife or like his big sister or whatever, but somebody sent me this years ago. It's just like a cinder block. But there's a little space heater up here, so I use this during the winter months to heat up the room before I film. As for this setup, this is great. Barry, I'm gonna put you down for a second here. Like, there's Barry. Sanji right there. My pop figurines are all there in that little bucket, by the way. That's where I keep all my pops. So this is like a little kimono. This is the setup for Barry. It is a kitchen stool on top of a computer monitor box on top of a like little you know, footrest kind of thing, you know. So that's the setup there. Hopefully I can maybe streamline that a little bit. That's my old computer down there, and just some boxes, you know, kitchen stuff or whatever that I'm gonna have. Here's my box of flowers, because everybody needs a box of flowers when they move. That's just like an extra box that I had lying around. But yeah, you know, and I'm gonna actually, after this review is over, I'm going to go and I'm going to film some shorts down here, some YouTube shorts, but after I'm done filming those today, I actually am going to start taking all this stuff down. Take it all down, pack it all up, pack up my suit and tie and everything, and I bought a, let me put it back over here now. I bought a nifty little, like a partition, like a backdrop sort of thing with wheels, because this is just on the wall here, okay? This is just a curtain rod with blankets over it. So now I'll actually have like a big like screen with wheels that I can wheel to and back, and I can put stuff on and everything like that. The next review I do, chapter 1029, might actually be very similar to this setup, because I'll just have a black backdrop with the Straw Hat skull and the wanted posters. I actually got new ones of these too. I ordered new wanted posters. I got like Rogers and Kaido's, like the Yonko wanted posters, so I might switch those out with the Straw Hats a little bit. I have to keep Robin up here, of course. Got to keep Robin, but you know, I might have like the Yonko wanted posters back here or something. It'll just make it a lot easier to switch out backdrops without having the setup that we have now. Also, it'll just be nice to have more space than this. Like literally, I'm pretty short, and like stretching out my hands right now, I'm stretching the entire length of this room. So yeah, thank you for you know, watching me for all these years. It means a lot, and you know, with my new setup, my new office and studio, I hope to just keep doing what I'm doing, keep up with the One Piece reviews, maybe start a Bleach podcast when that comes back, and just keep with it. But yeah, have a great one, everybody. This will be Tekking, this will be Barry, signing out. Later, everyone.